Hi there folks, welcome to RRTV's live coverage of the ANZCAR Thursday Night Thunder. It's round 6 tonight and we're coming to you live from Talladega, and it's a huge turnout here once again tonight. We have a total of 37 drivers in the server tonight, so it's going to have some very exciting racing indeed. I was watching them earlier on tonight in practice as they were practicing their bump drafting. A few drivers came unstuck, but most of them were trying to get these big trains together to maximise the speed. Top end speed on the straight in a draft, they were hitting 306 kilometres an hour, and around the corners they were dropping down to a mere 299 kilometres an hour. So at the moment it's just me up here in the combox. I'm expecting Ryan Shelton to join us. Of course it's extremely early over there in South Carolina, so I'm hoping he'll get out of bed soon and come and join us. As far as looking at the track tonight, let's have a look at what we've got here. So race information, total length is 4.27 kilometres, 2.65 miles. Today we have an overcast day, 26 degrees Celsius or 79 degrees Fahrenheit. So a nice cool day for the drivers, but I'm sure once they get going it's going to get very hot in the cockpit indeed. So you can see the guys out here at the moment, and they're all still practicing. We'll be into qualifying extremely soon, and let's have a look and see when qualifying starts. It should be starting quite soon. So as always folks, we have various cameras at our disposal. We're going to try and use them as much as we possibly can. We've got the gyro cam, and we've got the gearbox cam. We're looking out the back of the cabin of the truck, and we've also put on the roof cam so we can get some close on action in there. But on top of that we have our usual cockpit cam and our various other cameras. So looking at their lap times at the moment, the guys are lapping in 49 seconds. The fastest is a 49.724, and tonight 70 laps around Talladega, and it's going to go quick if there's no cautions. But I tell you what, if there is a caution it's going to be a big one folks, because speaking with drivers earlier in the week, and they're basically saying once they get into this draft, they put the foot to the floor and they don't lift, and it's basically getting this huge momentum going, driving, as you can see, as close as they can to each other to keep in that draft and get the most out of it. The other thing we're going to keep an eye on tonight will be pit stops. If the guys have to pit under green, which I'm hoping they will, they're going to have to find a draft partner, because if they come in by themselves they're not going to, they're going to lose way too much time. They have to maximise their laps by having a draft partner, so we can expect them to try to group into groups of 4 or 5 trucks to come in and take those stops. So that should be quite interesting to see who pairs up with who and how that shapes out. See the guys now just coming out, still warming up the cars. We should be going to qualifying very soon here. Of course it's a 15-minute quali, but they get 3 laps, so 38 cars out here tonight, and we'll see how the guys go when it comes to qualifying. At the moment the fastest time, and we'll have a look at that, is going to Jason Martin. You can see Jason up there in the purple car, the number 21, and he's pretty much won the last 3 in a row. The person to keep an eye out though is Jake Blackhall. He's currently in the 97 from Evolution Racing Team. He won the first 2. Jason Martin then went back to back for the last 3 rounds. So Jake Blackhall is going to be looking for trying to change that winning streak and try to close up. But we're coming into qualifying now, folks, and we'll be 15 minutes here. We can see at the moment James Foster is coming out. He'll want to build on a very, very poor run last week, so he's going to be looking at turning his luck around tonight and trying to take it to his big brother. Of course, his big brother tonight's Edward Foster, and there's a lot of brotherly love between those two, and they love trying to beat each other. See now James coming out, getting ready for his flying lap. We've also got Matthew Raymond coming out on the track in the 83, and he's seated in 8th at the moment, so we'll see how he can qualify. The other cars we have out there is Shane Whiting, and Kai Sloggett has also joined us in the 18 tonight. We've also got Norman Clark. So Norman had another fairly poor performance, bad luck race last week. He's going to also want to turn that around. Keep an eye on him. A lot of racing experience, this guy, and he really knows his trucks. And I'm expecting to see him up the pointy end if the luck goes his way tonight. So of course it's individual time trial here, so there's no drafting. So it's basically what maximum they can get out of these trucks, and I'm expecting it to be extremely close. So you can see now at the moment James Foster's on his first flying lap. They get 3 here, or really 2, 1 warm-up lap, 2 flying laps here. And we'll see what sort of time he can do. It's a pretty slow warm-up lap at the moment, and 54.35. That is quite slow. They're in the 49, so this is the first flying lap here now. So for those of you just joining us, welcome to tonight's Thursday Night Thunder. I'm hoping Ryan Shelton's going to turn up and join me tonight. He's probably still asleep very early over there in South Carolina, and yeah, probably about 5:30 in the morning. So you can see James Foster now coming back on the main straight here as he comes across the start-finish line. He has set, what sort of a time is he setting? Very slow out here. His first lap was a 54.355, so that moves him into second. Danny G at the moment, he's just finished his 2 flying laps. He's on provisional pole, and his time was a 53.721, but now Raymond Jaeger has snatched that from him, and he jumps up to pole. So if we have a look at our top 10 as the qualifying continues here, bring up Sam Ross here, just warming up. So Raymond Jaeger, provisional pole with 53.676. Sam Ross sits in second at the moment. Danny G third. We've got James Foster sitting in fourth. Gavin Windsor 5th. Matthew Raymond currently in 6th. Ryan Colstead 7th. Craig Lawless 8th. 9th. Shane Whiting and Kai Sloggett rounds out your provisional top 10. You can see now Craig Lawless, he's finished his 2 flying laps. The cars we are looking at still running is David Webb. David's sitting in 19th at the moment. His first time 54.617. He's going to want to improve that as he's coming up the back straight now. Is it the back straight? Yes, it is. I'm getting a bit confused here, and we'll see what sort of time he can do. Under drafting, of course, they're in the 49s, but because it's a single qualifying, they're in the 50s, so he's jumped up to 4th position with a 53.728, so a great run there on his second lap. You can see also Dean Ross. Dean's out there, he's completed his run. He qualified in 7 so far. We've also got Norman Clark out there. He's completed his 2 fast runs. His fastest time, 53.769. See his son Roger Clark. Roger's completed his first flying lap. He's seeded in 21st, so he's going to want to build on that. You can see now he's just coming through the first quarter up the back straight here at Talladega, and have a look at how big this track is as he goes down this back straight. So far halfway through, he's really aiming for a 53.676 if he wants to take pole. So we see him come through turn 3 and 4 here, and we'll get a time very shortly. So as he comes down the main straight now, 45.6, it's going to be close, but see as he comes across the line now, he sets a 54.008, so quite a slow time there, and he's finding himself sitting down in 22nd, so a lot of work for Norman to do tonight, and we'll basically see how he goes tonight. We've also got Jason Martin. Jason is coming in as one of the favourites tonight. He's got a lot of work to do though. He's last time 54.435, well off the pace here, and sitting in 25th at the moment as he comes across the line. 53.665, straight to the top goes Jason Martin. So we've got a couple more drivers starting their runs very shortly. Rodney Morris is one of those drivers. He's currently seated 28th, and he's just starting his warm-up lap now. Another driver out there, Darren McKenzie. Darren is about to start his flying lap, and he's seated in 27th. We've also got a number of drivers that have not come out on track yet, because of course they've got 15 minutes to do it, and some of them will leave it to the last minute. But we can see now Darren McKenzie coming around, and he'll be starting his first flying lap very shortly. We'll see what sort of a time he can pull out here. So you can see him now, he's commencing that 54.053, his first flying lap. That seeds him basically in 25th position. So he's really going to want to improve, or need to improve on this lap if he's going to find himself further up than midfield to the lower end. Of course, we've got 38 drivers out here tonight. Massive field for the NASCAR trucks, and it's great to see this series just going from strength to strength as more drivers find out about it and join the fun. So as Darren McKenzie comes across now, he jumps up to 11th with a 53.778. So a great run there by Darren McKenzie. We'll have a look at a few other drivers. With Jason Fewens, he's on his second flying lap now, and as he comes up the back straight and onto the main straight here. So we'll see what he can do. He's seated 29th at the moment. As he comes across the start-finish line, 53.875, and that doesn't improve him. So he's sitting in 25th position, and a lot of work to do as he goes. Now Daniel Stevens, we can see him on his second flying lap. The first one was a 54.236, and he's sitting in 31st as he comes down now onto the tri-oval part of this circuit, and across the start finish line now, 53.791. It sets him up for a start around about 16th provisionally, but there's still more drivers out here to complete their runs. Darren O'Brien, he has only done one lap, and his time was a 53.933. That sets him up for 30th. We've also got a number of drivers we have not seen take to the track yet. Matt Stratford, Daniel Trim, Nicholas Crawford, Dave Douglas, and also Mirko Dortanak, I think it is. Sorry, Mirko. Matthew Clode's already done his run, and he qualified in 33rd position. So that's the end of our qualifying. A number of drivers did not set a time, so we'll see if they're going to start at the back of the field. But let's go through the grid as they start lining up here at Talladega. So looking at the grid, Jason Martin, he will start from pole position. Fastest time, 53.665. On the front road, he will have Raymond Yeager next to him. In the second row tonight, we have Sam Ross starting at a third, and he'll be joined by James Zeitz. Out of the third row tonight, we have Danny G, and he's joined beside him on the outside with David Webb. Out of seventh, we have Rodney Morris, and James Foster will start out of eighth. And Gavin Windsor, he qualified in ninth tonight, and Jake Blackhall, keep an eye on him tonight, starting out of 10th. Dean Ross, he'll start out of 11th, and Norman Clark out of 12th. Out of 13th tonight, we have Darren McKenzie, and he's joined by with Matthew Raymond. In 15th will be Stephen Williams, and Jason Ress out of 16th. Out of 17th is Daniel Stevens, and 18th will be Riley Curtis. Starting in 19th tonight is Ryan Kolstad, and he's joined by Craig Lawless out of 20. Out of 21st, Darren Bond, and Shane Whiting will start next to him. Out of 23rd is Kai Sloggett, and Thomas Hinz, he'll start out of 24th tonight. Out of 25th is Brian James Jones, and he's joined by Phil Otto next to him in 26th. Jason Fewens will start out of 27th tonight, and Steve Hoppett, he will be starting out of 28th. Out of 29th tonight is Bruce Ross, and Darren O'Brien will start out of 30th. Out of 31st is Roger Clark, and he's joined with Josh Micklemore next to him out of 32nd. Matthew Clote will start out of 33rd with Nicholas Crawford beside him in 34th. Matt Stratford, he hasn't put in a time, he'll start out of 35th, and Mirko Dortanak will start out of 36th tonight. Out of 37th is Daniel Trim, and the last person to join the race tonight is Dave Douglas, starting out of 38th position. So you can see the field now going around on their warm-up lap. Massive field here tonight, as I was saying, 38 drivers. I'm going to do my extreme best, folks, to bring you all the action, but just be patient with me tonight, as it's only me in the comm box doing the cameras, the directing and the commentating. So I'll do my very best to bring you all the action, and hopefully Ryan Shelton, he'll get out of bed and he'll come and join us very, very soon, as we see the field of 38 cars now come up onto the back straight under the pace car, and we'll go racing. Now, of course, one fast repair, that's all they've got for this 70-lap race, and unlimited incidents, but one big accident on this, the fast repair's gone, and you're in struggle town for the rest of the night. And of course, being plate racing on this high-speed circuit, it's going to be extremely important that they don't carry panel damage, because that's going to affect their top speed. The other one is, as I was saying, they're going to need drafting partners, and keep an eye on draft packs of 4 or 5 cars joining up. Now, if they come into the pits, as I said, they're going to need drafting partners once again, and once again expect them to try to pit with another 4 cars around them, just so they can maximise that top end speed. As far as being on your own and being in a draft, it's going to cost you about 5 seconds a lap. So it's extremely important that they sort out who they're going to play with tonight, and make sure that those partnerships are formed. And of course, race managers will be working very hard with the spotters to try to work out who their drivers are going to draft with. So we're underway here, folks, at Talladega, 4 round 6 of the ANZCAR Thursday Night Thunder, 1 of 70 as the guys start getting up to speed. As I was saying, under draft on the straight, they get up to about 306 kilometres an hour, and down in the corners they drop to a mere 299 kilometres an hour. But we can see now Jason Fewens is just getting started, and something's gone wrong with him, but we can see Jason Martin is leading this race. So if we look at the top 10, Jason Martin is leading. Sam Ross is now getting right in the draft there. We can see James Lights, Danny G in 4th, 5th, David Webb, Jake Blackwell up to 6th already, and Raymond Yeager 7th. James Foster sitting in 8th, 9th, Rodney Morris, and rounding out your top 10 is Gavin Windsor, as we can see them now starting to sort out the low line, and we've got a couple of drivers caught up on the high line, about 3 of them. If they get caught up there by themselves, you can expect them to go fast backwards. So riding with Danny G at the moment in 5th position with the gyro cam. You can see how steep these banks are, and sitting in 4th gear, 302 kilometres an hour through the final corner up to the tri-oval. We can see further up on the outside the 21. Let's jump up to that car. So on the inside we have the 21 Jason Martin. Raymond Yeager is on the outside of him. Raymond is joined by the number 41, and that is Rodney Morris. Down below him though, you've got the 24, which is Sam Ross. Is now they're starting to work out their 2 drafting lines, and as I was saying before, the drivers said they pretty much nail it and hope for the best. But we've got our first pace car coming out, our first caution tonight, folks. We'll try and work out exactly what's going on here. Steve Hoppett in here in the 81. We'll jump on board with him in real time here just to see what unfolds ahead of him and how quickly this is. Driving in the smoke, straight into the 333 and into the wall, and that's how quick it happens at Talladega. So you can see it looks like the number 2 got turned, and who else is involved? We've got the 333 also involved. He was hit by Steve Hoppett, and the 39 was involved as well. So looking at those cars, the 333 was Shane Whiting, and you can see him just spinning out down there. The 81, as I said, was Steve Hoppett. The 39... I'm just trying to get that for you now, folks. I apologise for this. It's quite difficult doing this all by myself. That was Brian James Jones that was involved in that incident. So So we're back to live pictures now, folks, behind the pace car here at Talladega, 5 laps out of 70, and hopefully they'll get back into the groove of things, and we'll get some good racing going on here. But if we look at our top 10 as they stand at the moment, Raymond Yeager is leading Jason Martin, so Raymond will have control of the field when they come out. Rodney Morris in third, fourth will be Sam Ross, Dean Ross starting fifth, James Zeitz, then we've got Matthew Raymond in seventh, eighth Danny G, ninth James Foster, and rounding out our top 10 is David Webb. Just having a look further down the field and see what's going on with these cars that were involved. They're still out there circulating. There doesn't look like there's a lot of damage. None of them have come into the pits to take service yet, but we'll definitely see if that's the case. I wouldn't be surprised, because there was some pretty big hits out there, especially when Steve Hoppert was involved. Well, we can see Steve's actually, where is he? He's in the pits at the moment with a very sorry looking truck indeed. He's dropped a lap, and he's the only car in the pits at the moment. Keep an eye from the crane cam here and see if we can see any coming in. It looks like we do have some down the back that will be coming in. We can see Darren Bond, he's just come out of the pits taking service. He's trying to get up to speed to catch on the end of this train, and you can see the rest of them now just coming down with a try over here for lap 6. I can't see anybody that's actually come into the pits yet to take service, so they're all pretty happy to be running. And of course, last week Edward Foster, he didn't actually pit all race, but I can see he's not actually out there tonight running, so we'll see if anyone else wants to roll the dice and try a similar strategy. I know his name, Norman Clark, did it about 3 rounds ago, a very similar thing. He was out there for probably 55% of the race before he came in to change tyres. So these pace car laps, they are extremely long, and I apologise for how long it takes them to deal with this. Unfortunately, I don't have anyone I can really discuss with up here, so I've got to come up with my own stories. Maybe the folks in the chat channel might have some questions or comments that they could throw my way to keep me and the viewers entertained tonight. If there's anyone out there that wishes to jump into the comm box and have a crack at commentating, you're more than welcome to jump up here, and I'd be very happy to see you all. Just having a look out the back of Jason Martin's truck, you can see the 41, that's Rodney Morris on the inside of him. Right behind him is the 808 with Dean Ross. We've got Sam Ross in the 29 in the high line directly behind Jason Martin, and then we can see further down the 83. Here we go, back to racing. So Raymond Yeager's got the field up to, well, they're getting up to speed now. We can see at the moment though, Jason Martin is held out there by himself on the high line. he's waiting for someone to come up and join him, but at the moment the low line train is forming. Now you can see the 83, he's decided he's going to jump up behind Jason and give him some support here as we go down the back straight, too wide, as we see all the drivers jockeying for position to try to work out who they're going to draft with as the drivers get up to speed. But at the moment we've got Raymond Yeager with Rodney Morris sitting in second. Then further down we have the 808, that's Dean Ross, and he's got Sam Ross right behind him. Up the top is Jason Martin, as I said, and he's been drafted with Matthew Raymond. The 19's trying to get on the back, and now you can see they're getting up to 3 wide down the front straight, almost 4 wide, 41's into the 29. That will definitely bring out another pace car here. Or maybe it won't. Yes, it does. Yeah, you can still see cars coming off everywhere back there. Let's jump back and see if we can pick up exactly how this unfolded. Hopefully we're going to get some decent running here soon, folks. You can see them coming through the tri-oval. It all got a bit crazy as they came into turn 1 here, and keep an eye on the 29 because I'm pretty sure he was involved in this. Yeah, the 41, you can just see him being turned now. 29 and went on the infield, but keep an eye on them because they will come up very shortly and cause a bit of chaos, I'd say. Let's jump down here to Sam Ross, to the 41, 29, 23. But keep an eye on these two as they re-enter because I have a feeling that they're going to come back up into the field here. Yeah, you can see them now trying to get back on. The Jake Blackhall on the inside. I tell you what, coming up like that, here comes a 41 and straight into Thomas Hinds in the 52. And Thomas has, of course, found another driver to put in the wall. That's the 74, the 074, folks. That is Jason Ress hitting the wall hard. The 22's also involved down there, and the 25, Nicholas Crawford. Now the 22 is that's one of the Clarks, I'd say, Norman Clark. So his day continues. You can see up higher though, all craziness is ensuing with one of the WP concreting cars going very high. The 08's also involved, and that is Bruce Ross. Thomas Hinds, the 67, I think we've covered off. Jason Fewens straight into the wall heavily, and of course the 29, I thought he was going to get out of it, but the way they entered, they sort of got themselves run over, I think. That's a 93 we can see also involved in this, and that is, just trying to find the number, Riley Curtis. A lot of cars with a lot of damage out there at the moment, folks, and let's have a look at the list of cars affected here. So the cars that are now down 1 lap, after that we have Thomas Hinds, who is involved in that 1 lap down, Shane Whiting, Dave Douglas, Jason Fewens also down a lap, Matt Stratford now just coming into the pits to take service, Mirko Dortonovich, Steve Hoppett is also in the pit trying to get that car repaired. We can see the number 1. That is one of our favourites. No, it isn't. It's Phil Otto is involved trying to get that car serviced at the moment as well as he comes back out now. And just got to get a pit time here, 31 seconds. So the guys that are in trouble at the moment that have pretty much used up their fast repairs, I'm just going through them now, will be Thomas Hinds, he's used his fast repair. So will have Shane Whiting, Dave Douglas, Jason Fields, Matt Stratford, Mirko Dortonic, Steve Hoppett, and it looks like Brian James Jones did not start tonight. So we're down to 37. We have 30 cars still on the lead lap. So you can see Shane Whiting there. His pit crew hasn't quite straightened out the front and the back. That's going to affect his top end speed, that's for sure. But looking down the front, we have James Foster. He will be leading the pack. And once we get underway here once again at Talladega. So looking at the cars that have pitted while we're under pace car. Let's have a look. Matthew Raymond, he has taken service. 5.1 seconds was his stop. Gavin Windsor also has come down pit road. James Zeitz, Jason Martin in the number 21. He's come down pit road now twice, and he was one of the favourites. He's still got a nice clean truck sitting down there in 10th position. And we'll see if he can actually come back up through the field. We saw him caught up high there, and he was trying to find a dance partner or a drafting partner. James Zeitz was trying to get on the back of him, but didn't quite make it. So we'll see if these two decide they're going to pair up here once we get underway. Another car that's come in twice tonight is Riley Curtis in the number 93. Of course, we saw Riley Curtis involved in that last incident, so that second time down was to use his fast repair. So now it starts getting interesting, because once they lose that one fast repair, crashes like this, and you're not going to survive for very long. Darren Bond in the 117 has also come down pit road twice, and say he's used his fast repair as well. Phil Otto, we covered him off. Craig Lawless in the 444 has also taken service, as has Shane Whiting in the 333, and he's used his fast repairs, as I was saying, and now he's just going to have to live with the way that car is running. Looks like we've had our second retirement. That's Mirko Dortonic has retired from this race as well. See Raymond Yeager in the 23 Mellow Yellow entry. He's been in there for a very long time taking service. He's dropped 2 laps as he comes off pit road now to rejoin the field, and he's sitting in 35th, and he's dropped 34 since the start. Looking out of James Foster's car here, let's bring up the ticker, sorry folks, so you can see where your favourite driver is seated as we get to the restart. We can see the pace car lights are out. James Foster, he will have control of this field. He's got David Webb starting on the outside of him in the number 12. In the second row, Daniel Stevens and Darren McKenzie on the high side. Darren's the number 66. In the third row, we have Kai Sloggett on the inside, and Matthew Raymond, he will be starting on the outside. Then we have out of 7th Gavin Windsor, and Stephen Williams will start behind him. And then out of 9th, Jason Martin and James Zeitz. And if we have a look at James Foster's car, he's carrying a lot of front end damage on that car. He hasn't brought it in to use that fast repair. I think he's just trying to hold on and keep that up his sleeve. No, I'm sorry. Yes, he hasn't come in. Sorry. So the pace car should come in at this time, and James Foster, he'll have control. Let's hope we can get some good fast racing around here before another pace car comes out. We've had 2 so far in 12 laps for those just joining us, and if it keeps up like this, it could be a long night. It's 2 hours 20 time limited, and I'm hoping that we're not going to be here for that long, but we'll see how the guys go. Of course, we had 38 cars running. It looks like we are down to 35 because it looks like Steve Hoppett may have just retired that car. So we can see pace car is in. James Foster will have control of the field as they come through the triover. We'll wait to see when he's going to go. If he's going to go on green, he's accelerating now, and we're underway once again at Talladega. Nice clean start for James Foster's getting a bit of a gap, but it's how the rest of the field settles into the groove that counts. We'll see one car, 333. I think that's a 333. Just trying to work out who that was backing up down here, and he nearly got rear-ended. That was Shane Whiting, and he nearly had it coming together there with one of the other trucks as he was coming up to speed. So I'm not sure what's happened to Shane Whiting, but looking at the leaders, David Webb and Darren McKenzie have started to get that draft working. They've got past James Foster, who's carrying a lot of front end damage. He's just now trying to get on the back of the draft here, and he's got to be careful because he might get dropped. And then we've got Daniel Stevens, Matthew Raymond in 5th, and keep an eye on also Jason Martin down there in the 21, back on the high side. He's been joined by Steve Williams and James Zeitz, who are coming into draft with him and try to bring them back up. Right behind them though, we've got Josh Mickelmore. He's being drafted with Ryan Kolstad in that battle pack. Nicholas Crawford, Matt Clowett having a great run in the number 4, sitting in 14th, as we can see them coming up the back straight. Driving with Darren McKenzie here, you can see him just in the draft, and we'll have a look behind him. Right behind him is Daniel Stevens, and then we've got Raymond up there as well. That nice train formed now. You can see the 66, that's Daniel Stevens sitting in there. At the moment they're just going to tuck in because if they jump out of that draft they're going to be passed and they're going to drop down the train like they're standing still. And we can see them once more, 15 laps completed here. See up on the high side, James Zeitz, he likes that high side, is now up behind the James Foster, who's in a bit of trouble because as you can see he's carrying a lot of front end damage which is affecting his top speed. He's dropped from 1st down to 13th at the moment, and I can see him going further back. It'll be interesting to see if James and that jump out of there, because James Foster is holding these guys up a little bit. See now the 39 coming down on the inside, and just trying to get a number. That's a car that's a lap down, I would say. But meanwhile up front we've got David Webb, Darren McKenzie, Daniel Stevens just breaching that gap. The 18 is also in there going backwards now. That's Kai Sloggett, and he's carrying a little bit of rear end wing damage, but not too much. Just trying to see where Jake Blackwell is. He's down here in 17th at the moment, being drafted up with Danny Trigg, and the 808 is Dean Ross, but they're a good 6 seconds off the lead. So we jump back to the wide view and we can just see that gap as they come through now, and it's quite a substantial gap. These guys have been dropped well off the lead pack. So once again as they come down the tri-oval to complete lap 17, or lap 18 sorry, and they're starting to get into the groove. Let's jump on board with David Webb, and actually we will jump on board with Matthew Raymond on the inside here. Let's bring up the telemetry. I'm going to be quiet, rest my voice a bit, and crank up the sound and just enjoy the sounds of these fantastic trucks at Talladega. So as you can see, folks, they do not lift at all. They keep their foot firmly planted, and basically they just get into these huge draft packs. I look at it and think of it as peak hour traffic at 310 kilometres an hour. That's pretty much what this is. And if you've ever been in peak hour traffic on the freeway, you'd have a feeling what these guys are going through. And I tell you what, you know, people say NASCAR racing's only turning left, but if you have a look at what these guys are doing at 313 kilometres an hour, lap after lap, pretty much door handle to door handle, it takes a lot of concentration and trust and skill to get the most out of these cars. Jason Martin just up on the high side now. He's getting into with Matthew Raymond there. So Jason's drafted himself up to third position on the high side. Looks like he really likes the high line here. We haven't seen him all night in the low line. As you can see now, Matthew Raymond, Jason Martin, they get that toe working and they draft themselves up as we go three wide. The number 12, he's looking like he's lost his drafting partner now. He's being hung out to dry as the 75 has given up on him and making it three wide as he tries to get past here. As they're jostling for position here, and basically we have Daniel Stevens in the 66 leading. You can see Kai Sloggett just on the inside there. Darren McKenzie, he's third in the 75. If you're wondering why he's not coming down, folks, it's basically because the number 12 is on the inside of him, and that's David Webb. So David's now drops down there with Gavin Windsor drafting up. You can see Matthew Raymond, Jason Martin are trying to get on the back of the 75. They haven't quite yet, but the 75 starting to slide back as he can't find a drafting partner at the moment. Now it looks like Raymond is getting onto the back of him, so we'll see what they can do. You can also see further down in the 25, the beautifully presented, I'm not sure if you call that a tie-dye car or a rainbow car, that's Nicholas Crawford sitting there in 7th, Jason Martin in 8th on the outside. Matthew Clowett, he's still back there in 9th, and he's drafting. He's being drafted by Roger Clark in the 09. You can also see the 98 Stephen Williams up on the high side there, and he's followed by Ryan Colstad in the 088. So let's jump to the wide view. You can see this battle pack up the front. It's probably the first 15 cars are involved in that. The 19's the last one on. But then if we jump all the way back to Jake Blackhall, he's got Riley Curtis, Darren O'Brien getting into this draft. And you can see one of them has dropped off way off the back there, and once you're out there by yourself, you're losing about 6 seconds a lap. And it looks like Ryan Shelton might have finally got out of bed. Welcome, Ryan, to Talladega. We're lap 47 here out of 70.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I did just wake up. Apologies on my part. And yeah, it's pretty dark over here on this side of the world.
Yeah, so I really appreciate you jumping in with me this morning. I was saying to the viewers it's extremely early over there. I think it was like a 5:30 a.m. start for you, so it's good that you could actually join us tonight.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it was just should have been earlier for me, but you know how alarms go when you start getting old.
Here we go, the old man jokes are out already, but I'll tell you what, we've had 2 cautions, and now they're back into the rhythm. We've got one big battle pack that's formed at the top, 15 in the front pack, and then we've got Jake Blackhall all the way down there in 19th position in the second battle pack, but these guys are a good 9.8 seconds off the lead pack. Just to fill you in, we've had a number of cars involved in incidents already, and they're a lap down. So that's Thomas Hinds, Dave Douglas, Rodney Morris, Jason Fewens, Raymond Yeager, Matt Stratford, Norman Clark and Shane Whiting. We've had 2 retirements, that's Steve Hackett and Mirko Tanovic.
10-4. Sounds like a typical Talladega race.
Yeah, and we were having a look at those incidents, and I'll tell you what, when they go big time, and the guys don't have a lot of time to react, that's for sure. So can you tell the viewers a little bit about what we should be looking out for tonight? We can see them all drafting. I was trying to say earlier that if they've got a pit under green, I'm expecting them to try to find draft partners to pit, because it looks like they're losing about 6 seconds a lap if they don't have a draft.
Yeah, so here at Talladega, you always want to have somebody who's in front of you. So you want to have somebody who's breaking that draft at any point at a time. What it's going to do is allow all the air to come off the front bumper and allow you to basically just go faster. Bigger the pack, the more air that's been disturbed, which means the faster everybody goes. So normally if you're in about a mid-pack, you'll have somebody behind you who's actually pushing you, which is helping the air also. So that will help out the air. You actually get an air benefit from back in the front. So being in the middle is going to help you go the quickest. But being in the middle also means you're in 10th, not first. So that's a problem there. The thing about plate racing, as we call it here in the States, Talladega and Daytona, we run a restrictor plate, which is an air restrictor, brings these the engines down to about half power, and we enjoy them because they stay really close together, and it just is one big pack essentially. But if like a lot of guys, they'll just sit back in the back and they'll just hang around all day. That's me. I just kind of hang around towards the front of the pack. But I'm not somebody who's super aggressive, and that's where you get the wrecks, the people who are super aggressive, racing around people who aren't super aggressive. So.
Yeah, so is there any problem, like if these cars get too close, can they actually take the air off the rear of these trucks and get them a bit loose?
That's not so much a concern here at Talladega. It's more of a concern at Daytona. Daytona's a little more handling track. Here at Talladega, it's just flat out. I mean, maybe on a real long stretch, you'll have your truck get kind of loose or get kind of tight off too. But most of it here is just the Chevy emblem should be matching the Toyota emblem of the truck in front of you.
Okay.
We got a huge wreck happening way back in the back. Thomas Hines has been spun. Looks like he's been spun, and Jake Blackhall's also involved in it, but no damage looking on that truck.
We'll jump back and have a look at this replay. And Thomas Hinsey is not having a lot of luck tonight. He was pretty racy last week, but I think he's finding this plate racing is a little bit different to what he's used to. You can see Jake Blackhall on the inside, Thomas Hins on the outside. He's got the 674 behind him as well as the 41. And I'm just trying to work out who the 674 is. That's Danny Trim. Danny Trim gets into the back of Thomas, turns him into Jake Blackhall, and all hell breaks loose, one could say. But at least they kept it on the apron. And what's happened to Jake? Has he hit the wall? And they haven't gone up.
We have another yellow here. Oh, that did bring out a yellow, it looks like.
Yeah, it did.
Oh, no, there's another crash. Oh, there's another huge crash.
Do we have a car?
Danny G's also involved.
Okay.
This is a lot of cars involved, though.
Yeah, we'll jump back and see if we can pick... Oh, we've got the 75 on its lid. And just trying to get a number, a name. We've got so many cars up here.
The 4 of Matthew Click got hit in the back.
So this was a front pack. This was a front pack.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. It looks like the 18 truck of what's his name? Kai Sloggett. We're gonna call his name Sloggett tonight. Looks like Kai just kind of drove off of his line into Darren McKenzie, which really got it started.
Yeah, you can see Darren McKenzie there getting sideways, and let's jump to a closer look of this. No, that's a crap look. Okay, so we can see the 52 and going around here as well. That was the Hins incident, which we saw earlier, and then we need to get up to Darren McKenzie, because this is where it all unfolded in the second incident. So the first one I don't think brought out the pace car. I think it's the second one that got the caution.
Yeah, because what happened is the first one, all the spinning happened off the racing surface, and then the second one, it all happened on the racing surface.
So you can see there the 75, it was turned by the 18 by the looks of it, and then the 777s caught him and thrown him upside down into the wall, and a huge hit. He also got hit by, not sure which truck that was. But I tell you what, that's a pretty scary incident.
Yeah, Darren will be kind of shaken up if he's running in VR, that's for sure.
Yeah, I reckon he would.
But it looks like we have a pretty large field tonight. There's a lot of trucks in here. It started with 40?
Yeah, we had 38 take to it, and it was pretty full on. Now we're going to actually jump into the gyro cam, folks, with Darren McKenzie here, and you can just see how big a hit this was and how quickly things unfold at Talladega.
So the after the wins are all got ahead of Daniel Stevens, who was the leader. So it looks like some of those guys may have taken 2 tires and he took 4 because of how much faster they got out. And I'm not sure about the rest of the field and where they were stacked up. But it looks like Craig Lawless now has taken his stop, so Daniel Stevens will move up into the 4th position. There are still currently 30 people left on the lead lap by our calculations. So 30 drivers are still on the lead lap, and the way that the race is going currently, we might have at least one, maybe two more get the lucky dog to bring us to 70 laps.
Yeah, we've got 38 laps remaining here. The last car on the lead lap is Matt Stratford. We also saw in the pits at the moment Norman Clark. He's still sitting there in the 22. He's not going anywhere, and it looks like a shark's taken a big bite out of the front fenders of his car. But yeah, Jason Martin, he's back up the front. He's won the last 3 rounds here, and he's back up the pointy end once again tonight.
Yeah, I know Blackhall will definitely be trying to make it up front so he can stay on par with Jason Martin there, because Jason Martin has been on fire, and he's finished first or second, and I think in every single race. So Jay Blackhall is not going to let Jason Martin run away with this championship too easy.
Yeah, well, that's right. But the last green flag we had, we found Jake was down in the second battle pack, you could say, good 9 or 6.8 seconds off. So we're starting down there in 20th. What do you think he can do, Ryan, to try to get back up into the top 10 here tonight?
Well, luckily for him, Talladega is kind of a crapshoot. So what he can do is he can work with the draft a lot to try to find, where he needs to go, either the inside or the outside. Play around with the lines a little bit. And since you're normally double file here, he doesn't have to pass but 4 or 5 cars, and he's into the top 10. Right now he's in 21st position. If he passes 4 or 5 cars, he's going to be inside row 5 cars back instead of 10 cars back, and then he's up in the 10th. Once you're into the top 10, I've always said, as long as you're in the top 10, by the end of the race you have a shot at winning on that last 2 or 3 laps, because you can pass 10 cars in 2 laps. It's easy to do around here. You just got to play the lines correctly.
Yeah, so at Talladega, is it better for him to be on the inside, or doesn't it matter as long as you've got a drafting partner with you?
If you're the leader, you want to be able to dictate where you want to go, so the inside's the place to go. Because on the yellow line, the guy cannot pass you below that yellow line, so you're almost creating a inside lane for you if you ride that yellow line. So now all he has to do is go to the outside. So you can play the blocking game real well, but you've got to when it's blocking and when it's protecting your line. So Jake Blackhall will probably be making a lot of his moves around the outside as people start to check up on the inside line. So look for him to be on the outside line, even probably making a third line if optional.
Okay. I'm just having a look at the cars waiting to get the wave by. Looks like the 41, Rodney Morris, may get it. Matt Stratford just in front of our leader Jason Martin may also get the wave around at this point in time. I'm just getting a number on the third car, who's just behind the pace car waiting to get their wave around. Get a number, it's a bit hard to find. I think it might be, no, it's not Kreislogger.
We've got Shane Whiting in the 333.
Yep.
And Rodney Morris in the 41, and Matt Stratford in the 16.
And Shane Whiting's had a really rough night tonight. He was involved in the first incident. He's 12 laps down, but he's still soldiering on. Rodney Morris, he will get a lap back, and so will Matt Stratford. Well, in fact, they're now counting as being on the same lap, but I think they're just waiting for the pace car to wave them by.
Yep, so here they go. They'll get up to green. These guys will start to move around as the lead lap cars will double up in the restart position.
I guess what these guys want to do is try to get up to speed as quickly as they can to try to get back on the back, before we go green again, because of course these guys are going to be left out to dry, or high and dry, if they don't have a drafting partner.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the issue here, is that if the guy in front of you doesn't know he's taking the wave around and you're trying to get the wave around, a lot of times people will just pass them. Like if you know that you're going to get your wave around, and the guy in front of you doesn't really do a whole lot of oval racing, and they don't really understand that one of those rules that are deep down inside the rule book, a lot of guys will just go ahead and pass them, and a lot of times they question it, and you have to tell them, and then they start to get up speed, and you have to hope that they get around.
And we can see the three of them now. Matt Stratford's drafting in with Rodney Morris, and he's trying to get on the back of Shane Whiting here as they come up onto the back straight. But we can see now the leading pack is just coming down into turn 4 here, into the tri-oval, and then we should be back racing. 36 laps or 35 laps remaining. We're at the halfway point.
Yep, so you'll see the pace car drop down here in just 1 second. That's going to give the control to Jason Martin. Now with the start line, how far it is on the other side of the tri-oval, it's not directly in the center. You have a long way that Jason Martin can play with it. Normally you don't want to get out to a big run, that way the guys behind you don't have enough speed to really catch up to you, but as you can see, he can go. He is green.
Yep, he's underway once again here at Talladega. So Jason Martin, and number 12 is David Webb, the 777 Gavin Windsor on the inside, and up high we've got the 12 and the 66, that is Webb and Danny Stevens. Excuse me.
Yep, so Danny Stevens actually started out in the 6th position, but there was kind of a gap there at the start, and he dropped straight onto the inside, and now he is the 3rd car on the inside line. So if those guys don't move out of the top line, or they don't line up real well on that top line, he's going to be in 3rd place. So he just gained 2 positions just by making that one move, and that's what I'm saying. It's easy to make positions here at Daytona.
Yeah,
Talladega.
Talladega, yeah. Those guys up the front. Let's see if they drop down now. Let's see Matthew Raymond now coming up onto the high line, and he's following Joe Micklemore up there as well. But the number 12 drops down. He's left the 66 up there. Doesn't think he's quick enough at this point. Now looking back for Jake Blackhall, he's up to 16th. And we can see him now on the inside. He's in a 4-car drafting pack here, and he's got Kai Sloggett on the end of that as they're trying to get up to speed. Currently 3.2 seconds down from the leading pack.
Yeah, so you'll start to see Blackhall try to make his way into the top 10 as we see the number 66 of Daniel Stevens has actually made his way into pit road. Not sure what that's for, but we'll probably get an answer later on, probably for fuel or something like that. Blackhall is now following the injured 074, which if I were him, I would dump him just like he just did and go ahead and go for the uninjured 75 truck of Darren McKenzie.
Now that they're back up to speed, they are 1.9 seconds behind the lead pack, and you can see that gap now, folks, as we go to the super wide. But meanwhile, up front, it's Jason Martin on the high side. We've got Gavin Windsor in there, as well as Josh Micklemore. They're getting into the 2 lines now, and draft of 4 up the high line, 3 on the low line. And you can see they're just coming up, I think, on one of the cars to put them down the lap.
So if you watch what Jake Blackhall just did, I think there are 2 options here. I think what he's doing, either A, he made a mistake in trying to pass Darren McKenzie, or he's just trying to stay close enough to the lead pack that he doesn't get in a wreck, but far enough away from any danger, any true danger. I think it might be the latter that he's doing, where he's just trying to keep away from being in too much danger, because there's still a very long race to go. We still have 20, or we still have 30 laps left in this race, 31. So we'll see him try to stay out of trouble, but also try to stay with that lead pack, which he currently is now.
Yeah, and we're riding with Jake at the moment. We'll see him in a minute. He should tuck down behind the 41 Ready Steady Wiggle car. And you've got the Wiggles over there, do you?
Yep. Fruit salad, yummy, yummy.
That's the one. Yeah, you can see now Jake on the low line, and as he gets past I think it's the Ford, that's Matt Clowett being held out there to dry. One could say in the high line, but at the moment, Jason Martin, Josh Micklemore, they are leading this pack. They're trying to go out there on their own, but the 777, of course, is just breaching that as they pull them back in. But it's quite amazing to me, I was saying to the viewers before you came on, that these guys are getting up as high as 311 kilometres an hour. It looks like, who was that? No, it's only net code. We're fine.
Oh, a huge wreck. Looks like there was a pretty big wreck back here with these 18, maybe? No, the 18's still good. Somebody went way off and to the left.
Yeah, it was a number 4, we can see here, and that's Matt Clowett, but he had internet connection issues, and he was flashing on and off. So we'll jump back, and that's what's brought out this wreck.
Yeah, his connection may have caused that issue to start out with. It looked like the guy who he was up high from. Let me see if I can get him when he's actually here in the server. Let's see what happened here.
It looks like he got turned by the 808. Jake Blackhall also, I think, escaped because he went right through him. But of course, we've lost him. There we go, he's back on again. Yeah, Jake Blackhall went through him with the net code, but you can just see him jumping around here, Ryan.
Yeah, and it looks like Jason Flynn's just did not slow down, and he hit him head on, and that may have ruined his race completely. I know we have fast repairs, but he's probably going to have to get a tow on that one. Yeah,
well, we're just having a look at now, and Paul Matt, he's sitting in the middle of the circuit, nowhere to go, and we can see the green car, which you were just saying, just drilled to the back of him. I'm not sure if he actually saw Matt, and it'd be interesting to jump in wherever Matt's gone. He's trying to go to space, I think. That's a 67. Let's jump in with the 67 and go in real time and just see exactly what he saw.
Yeah, so with Jason Flynn's, it looked like the 67 truck, he just didn't slow down. Normally when the caution comes out, there's a huge pile of smoke. Normally you slow down. It just looks like he made a mistake of not slowing down, and that didn't really work out for him.
Yeah, and we're riding with him in replay here, and we're just looking up ahead to see if there's any smoke. Now there's smoke. He's still not lifting, and let's try now. He's lifted, so he has lifted, and he's going. Yeah, so he's gone to the high side of the smoke, and Matt Clowett was unsighted because he was in the smoke, and yeah, all over Red Rover.
Yeah, so there was so the whole pit stop situation again has been turned upside down, as there's a bunch of cars who are staying out, a bunch of cars that didn't go in. Our leader, Jason Martin, will now be scored in a 9th position after he did not pit, or after he pitted, but he lost a position on pit road to David Webb, and that was the only position he lost to on pit road, I should say. So Gavin Windsor, Roger Clark, Sloggett, Jason Ress, Sam Ross, Darren McKenzie, and Daniel Trim all did not pit, so they're all in the top. They're all first through seventh. First car who did pit would be David Webb. It looked like he took just gas only. Jason Martin also took the same, but took a little bit more fuel and maybe right side tires.
So how important is tyre wear around Talladega? Is this style of racing very hard on the tyres?
Not really. Like I said, again, not here at Talladega. At Daytona, it's super rough. It is extremely rough on the tires at Daytona. Even though the track was just repaved a couple of years ago, the only reason why it's tough is because you're going extremely fast, but the track is actually a little bit tighter, and it's a little bit more narrow, whereas Talladega is a lot wider, and the corners are a lot, they're not as tight, they're a little bit more angled out per se. And the tri-oval here is basically the whole front stretch, whereas at Daytona, the tri-oval's nothing. It just basically feels like another turn. So at Daytona, your handling comes into it a lot more. That's why you'll hear guys talk about handling, talk about tire wear at Daytona. But then when they come to Talladega, it's all about just trying to find that sweet spot. You know, you gotta be at the right spot at the right time to win one of these races.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, I'm learning a lot tonight, folks, all about the intricacies of NASCAR racing.
Yeah, plate racing is a weird one. It's the only place in the world where you'll see this kind of racing at all. You know, 200 miles an hour around the oval, but the draft is the biggest part. This is where we learned about drafting, and aero wake was in the 70s. And that was the first time anybody had ever heard about air being disturbed by the car in front of you. It wasn't found out in F1. It wasn't found out in sports car racing. It was found out on Daytona with a bunch of guys with carburetors and bias ply tires.
Yeah, and I think how long ago was bump drafting discovered?
I forgot exactly where it was. I know it was in the early 70s, and somebody was talking about it. I would have to go back into the books to look at it, but basically they were like, yeah, I ran faster behind somebody versus just being out there by myself. It might have been David Pearson who found it originally, who had, came to the conclusion that following somebody was faster. But it wasn't until 1986 when we got the plate rate, or the actual restrictor plate, that this style of racing happened. Before 1986, it was kind of a crapshoot per se, and you kind of get more spread out, and whoever had the fastest car was winning. It was basically a drag race. So that's when you had the guys like Bill Elliott back in the early 80s who, they gained an entire lap back, because Bill Elliott, I think it was in 1985, he popped a oil line and he went 2 laps down and came back and won the race. And both of those laps he got back under green. He didn't get him under yellow. He didn't get it, for the pace car. He got it under green. That's how much faster his car was than everybody else's. So nowadays, you're not going to see that. You're not going to get 2 laps back under green at Talladega. It's just that's not going to happen anymore. So, a lot of people still don't like the plate to this day. Even though it's been 30 years since it's been around, a lot of people hate it and they want it off. But it's basically a safety feature while also being an excitement feature.
Yeah.
So the Sprint Cup cars, they actually go down to about 450 horsepower, and they're still doing 300 kilometers an hour. Over.
Yeah, well, the trucks here, as I was saying, the top speed they're hitting in a draft is 300, and around about 312 kilometres an hour tonight. So we can see now the pace car lights are out. Gavin Windsor He's led 4 laps of this race, which is pretty much under yellow, but he will lead the guys off. He's carrying a lot of front end damage, so I'm assuming he's going to be wounded and he'll probably find himself going backwards through this field.
He's got one of those cars that will be really good in the pack, but he's not going to lead very long. Roger Clark is he's going to jip him first coming down the back stretch. Gavin Windsor will not be able to lead with that front end damage. He's just trying to stay out, wait for enough cautions so that he can get in with everybody else and not lose too much positions using that fast repair. But it looks like he's going to get off here, and Roger Clark's just going to go right below him. So Roger Clark actually might get eaten up by somebody else too if he just follows the 777.
Yeah, you can see the 18, that's Kai Sloggett now on the inside of the 074 Jason Reese. 75 Darren McKenzie going up high with rest there, trying to get a bit of a run going on the high side. It's interesting, the other two, they've got behind Windsor, but Windsor's wounded, and we can see the Darren McKenzie and Rest just drive on by.
Yeah, so a lot of these guys are making some pretty dotty moves right now. It's I still think it's a little too early to be making crazy moves like that, even though there are, if you look at the timesheet, there's only 25 laps left, but that's 25 laps you can do a lot of time in. So look for Darren McKenzie and the 29 car that is right beside him. Who's in that 29? Sam Ross. Sam Ross and Darren McKenzie, watch them make a pass on these two wounded warriors up front of the Jason Russ and Kevin Windsor.
You can just see him now driving on past them on the high side. Darren McKenzie's now leading. Darren's had a good recovery here because it wasn't too long ago we actually saw him on his roof and he had to take that car in for a fast repair. Now he finds himself pretty much leading this race with the 074, which is Jason Ress on the inside, but Jason is also carrying quite a lot of front end damage.
Yeah, so what you'll see the high line, they're a little bit faster down the straightaway, the low line's a little bit faster down the corners, and because it's basically even here at this track, you'll see the inside line kind of keep up. But what Darren McKenzie and Sam Ross want to do, what they really want to do is down the backstretch, if they are behind the cars that are down the inside, you want to get as close to their door as you possibly can. You want to ride it right next to it. I don't know, if you watch the Bathurst 1000, you saw this. It's called the side draft. You saw this happen really well. It was Nick Percat and David Reynolds. They were in the first and second towards the end of the race, coming down Mountain Straight. Nick Percat was in second, and he tried to get beside David Reynolds, and when he did, he got right up next to his door, and as soon as he broke the front plane of David Reynolds started to pull up. It's a side draft, so you have that in effect also. So you'll start to see these guys, the later on they get into the race and the more aggressive they want to get, you'll start to see that come into play, that little side draft too.
They're definitely racing pretty close there. Darren McKenzie blinked a bit, but hopefully he's got stable now. For the folks out there that are fans of Jake Blackhawk, well, he's going backwards at the moment. He's down in 18th as he's trying to get a drafting partner 3 wide back here. He's got the 117 on his inside, and they were splitting the 088 Ryan Kolstad on the outside.
Yeah, so I don't know if because he always talks about how he watches NASCAR and how he's always into NASCAR. I'm not sure if he's really wanting to be back here, just because he's stayed back here the whole race. And I've watched him a couple of laps. He has made some pretty crazy moves that I wouldn't do if I'm in the back. So I think he might just be back there. It's just I don't think he doesn't understand how to do this racing well. He might prove me wrong towards the end of the race and be up front. But right now, he's in a good spot. He's in 15th position. He's in the bottom lane, which I wouldn't personally want to be in the bottom lane if I'm that far back. But what he can do is just try to stay on the bottom lane and wait for guys to go up to the top lane, try to make moves, and just take their inside spot.
We'll see what he can do as this race goes on. They're just putting another car down. He went up on the high side, got well out of the way of this pack. Tell you what, if he hadn't, they would have run him over, that's for sure. That's a difference in speed. But I guess, with this sort of plate racing, it's quite different to what a lot of Australian drivers would be used to. So I'd say the guys that haven't done a lot of NASCAR, this would be something very new to them.
Yeah, and it's a lot of fun when you're out there, because it's a high-speed game of chess. You always have to think 3 moves ahead. What are you going to do if you make this move? What are you going to do if you make that move? So you always want to know what you're going to do before you do the move. So it's your quick thinking, especially if you're trying to make moves. Normally for me, like I said, I normally just like to kind of hang out around the top 10 until like the last 5 laps. Then I want to start making my moves to the front. But because I don't like wrecking at all. So the easiest way not to wreck is just kind of stay in your lane. It's just like running down the highway. If you don't really have anywhere to go, and you're not going to go anywhere in 5 o'clock rush hour traffic, just kind of stay in your lane. Just kind of, if that lane goes, okay. If it doesn't, then you can start thinking about moving to the top or bottom. As he actually pushes the 08 and spins around, that will not cause a caution just yet. Looks like we will stay green as Jake Blackhall actually just made the spin happen. Not sure exactly who that was that he spun around. We'll get the actual number here in 1 second. Looks like it was Nicholas Crawford that he spun around. Looks like he just wasn't lined up.
Yeah, we're just having a look at the replay now of that. And keep an eye on Nicholas Crawford there in the 25. It's just ahead of him. See, yeah, Jake just got in the back of him. Doesn't take much, does it, to upset these cars at that speed. You can also see Matt Stratford went on the inside to avoid that. So good driving by them avoiding him. But yeah, Nick Crawford spun, no safety car or pace car called.
Yeah, so there's a huge wreck, second place. Oh wow, they're wrecking. Oh, what? They all saved it. Wow. Oh no. Okay, there it goes.
Yeah. He did save it, but then that was Sam Ross. The 808's also involved. I was with you. I thought they got away with it, but then Sam just got caught up by one of the other drivers here.
Yeah, well, it looked like he was trying to get off the wall. It looked like his car kind of got stuck onto the wall, and when he pulled it off the wall, the car got loose, and the guy above him just did not have anywhere to go. I think these wrecks are getting bigger than they should be just because these guys just aren't slowing down. They're still wrecking. Like, the caution came out like 30 seconds before or after they wrecked, and they were still doing pretty quick.
Yeah, they certainly were, and while the 29 was trying to gather that up, the 08, that's Bruce Ross, got into the back of him before he went in the wall. That turned Sam Ross into the traffic, and you can see there the 808 was involved, and a few others, but that 808, that's Dean Ross. I hope these guys aren't like three brothers, because if they are, there's going to be one hell of a debrief tonight.
Yeah, they were still full throttle all the way up until they wrecked again. The yellow came out before, so I don't think they understand that the fact that the field freezes when it goes yellow, because they're still. Oh man, shooey. I know I wouldn't want to be out there. That's for sure. I don't like people who do that.
And we're riding with Bruce Ross here now. You can see the accident just ahead of him. He's gone high, and he didn't lift at all, and he just went straight up the back of the 29 and turned him around. I don't think he really had anywhere he could go, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a whole lot of places he could have gone, but letting up on the throttle pedal could have shown a couple of different places he could have gone.
Yeah, 15 laps remaining here, folks. I think that's our fourth yellow tonight, maybe our fifth. So the guys aren't doing too bad, but it sounds like they need to probably exercise a little bit more caution.
Yeah, when the caution flag's out, that's normally a good thing to do.
So looking at our top 10 as they stand, folks, we have Darren McKenzie in the 75 leading, and I tell you what, he is looking strong for a win tonight. He's been the most consistent around there. Jason Rest second, third David Webb, Gavin Windsor in the 777. He's also driving well, considering he's got a damaged truck. James Zeitz 5th, 6th is Roger Clark, 7th Jason Martin, 8th Kai Sloggett, Josh Micklemore is 9th, and rounding out your top 10 is James Foster. It'll be interesting because at the moment Jason Martin's sitting down here in 7th, and he's won the last 3 in a row, and Jake Blackhall, who won the first 2, he's sitting back here in 12th. Darren McKenzie is looking strong, so could this be a night when we have a third driver take a round win?
Yeah, normally Talladega is that one race, or Daytona also. Those are the two races that you'll see. You'll see that different winner, because it is, it's a lot less skill per se when you're talking about driver skill. It's more of mental skill and knowing where to place your truck at, and that's who's going to rise to top. Who can understand the draft and who can understand where to be when it matters.
So when we get down to like the last lap, how do you think this is going to be won? Is it going to be? Do you reckon it's going to be potentially someone sitting in the pack that's going to get that run and scoop it up, or is that how they generally win this sort of race?
No, a lot of times it's normally somebody from the front and they're just blocking the crap out of the entire track. You do see the occasional, from the back win. Dale Earnhardt's last win is probably one of his biggest. He was in 18th position with 3 or 4 laps to go, and he came back and he won the race by just absolutely driving the wheels off his truck. And it still to this day, a lot of people remember his 76th and last win from the fall of 2000, and it happened here. But that was a huge win. And then Daytona 2007, you had Kevin Harvick come out of freaking nowhere the last 2 laps. He was in the middle of the pack. He just hopped out of the pack and drove straight to the front and won by barely a bumper. So it can happen, but a lot of times it's just somebody who's up front and blocking away. The way I think this one's going to end up, and if I'm Jake Blackhall or Jason Martin, I'm just driving straight to the front. I'm not worried about, waiting it out or anything, because this race probably will end under yellow. So I'm looking to get up front. That's me. If I'm in either of their positions, I'm going up front.
Yeah, well, I would have thought, being down where Jake is in 14th, I would have thought that would be far more dangerous than being up in the top 5. But maybe it's because if he's wanting to be that down there, maybe he's worried that if he gets up the front, that the guys are going to be racing real hard, and that's where the wreck's going to come from.
Yeah, so his plan was going to work, and now it may have backfired just because of that last wreck. Because what it looked like it was starting to do, he was starting to move up into the top 10, starting to try to make his way up. Because we have seen him kind of around that 20th position mark all night. This is probably the highest he's been up since I've been here. Granted, it's only been 20 laps, but with 10 laps to go, you got kind of a little bit of a pool to look at.
Yeah, I tell you what, this last wreck's also taken care of a few drivers out there. It looks like Danny Trim's retired from this race. Bruce Ross, Raymond Yeager and Matt Clowett are all our latest retirements out there, folks. So, yeah, it's starting to thin them out, isn't it? And Darren Bond in the 117 may have also just retired. He's gone off my telemetry here, which generally means it's gone to the back, to the garage there, and no doubt we won't be seeing that car again tonight. Truck.
So we have 24 guys still on the lead lap, so we have 24 guys who are still able to win this race. 23, my bad, as Darren Bond has also dropped off. So we actually have 23 guys who are able to win this race. So we'll see what can happen. It's Talladega, so anything and everything can happen here.
Yeah, and looking on the high side there, the 74 Jason Ress and Gavin Windsor both have front end damage, but right behind them is Roger Clark. So I wouldn't be surprised if Roger's going to try and get on the low line if he can, which he might find it a bit difficult because he's got Jason Martin right behind him there, and I reckon Jason is going to also want that line.
What I would be doing if I were one of them, if I was both of them, I would be ringing up the guy behind me and saying, "Hey, we're going to the high side. We're going to 3 wide, and we're going to go take this win." Because with these trucks, you can run the eye line, and with how wide this track is, I mean, you've got enough room. You can put 3 cars in the bottom 2 lane markers. So it's possible to run 3 wide here. It's a matter of if they want to. And Darren McKenzie went off right at the start. He's trying to make as much of a gap as he can and try to get as many people outside of the draft as he can.
He jumped really early, didn't he? But we can see now David Webb's going with him. And then we've got Ress on the high side, Windsor, both with damaged trucks. The 19, James Zeit, he's going, but further behind them, Roger Clark, Jason Martin going 2 wide, and see what they can do if they can catch up. Of course, Kai Sloggett's also in this. He's the last one back there in 8th.
Yep, so Jason Martin is kind of high and by himself over here in the 7th position. 8th position is Kyle Sloggett. Just got him just a little bit. But Jake Blackhall, he's not utilizing that number 66 truck, and he's going to drop out of the draft here real quickly if he doesn't use that 66 truck here. If he just stays side by side with him, there he goes. He drops down below, and he might be able to get it. He might be just a little too far back to keep the draft. We'll see how that goes. And no, he's got it. So he's got the draft to the lead pack, so he'll start to make a case for himself. Now, if I were him, like I said, I would go to that top lane and just go straight to the front.
Yeah, well, we haven't seen any 3 wide really tonight at all. As we look back from our race leader, Darren McKenzie, they seem to want to run the low and the middle line, but not many have even attempted that high line yet.
Yeah, and I think we'll start to see that change here in a moment. The top line's not going to go anywhere with that 074 leading, so the 19 and the 21 definitely want to get around the 074, and I think the high line's going to be the only way to do it, because that front end damage is hurting the both of them.
Yeah, and at the moment, Mackenzie has this race firmly in his grasp. He's just sitting there on the low line and saying to the guys, if you want to pass, you're going to have to go around the outside because I ain't moving.
Yep, so it looks like we currently have, we had a couple of guys go up high and then they dropped out of the draft there. Looks like the two injured cars are up high and the 19 truck has just been left out there with those two badly injured front ends, and you can see the difference between a clean truck and an injured truck, and it's shown as there's 3 wide now.
Yeah, that's the 74 and the 77, the 19. He's boxed in, isn't he? Now he comes to the low line. He's just dropped in under James Foster. Oh, 777.
They've created a wreck, and it's yellow flag here with 8 laps remaining. We're going to have 30 laps left in this one. It's going to be a 3-lap shootout.
Yeah. And that was the 74 getting into the 777 there. And I tell you what, if the 777 wasn't bent up, now it's torn up. Yeah,
they are just out there hoping for the best. Not much you can do on that front end. Granted, they've had that front end damage for 30 laps or so, and they've been running up front, but just not. I don't know why you wouldn't come in and get it fixed.
Yeah, I think we're not going to see any more of the 777 there as he gets it really high. The safety fence does its job and keeps him on the right side of the black stuff. But yeah, that car's toast. You can just look at it. The whole thing's just locked up in the front end.
Yep, so these guys will roll around and they will restack them for the final restart. So the next flag, once the green flag comes out, either A, they'll take the white flag and then the checkered, or they'll take the yellow and then the white and then the checkered. So we'll see, either it's going to be a green-white checkered or it's going to be a yellow-white checkered.
Yeah, and these guys would know that, wouldn't they? So I wouldn't expect any of them to be coming in taking service at this point in time. They'd probably just hold position and stay out.
Yep, Jason Martin kind of faked it a little bit to see if anybody would blink, but he didn't get anybody, and I wouldn't expect he would get anybody unless they really needed fuel. That's the only reason why.
Yeah, you can see that as Jason Rest came in to his pit bay, his motor blew. Can you believe that? 2 out and he's blowing his motor, end of the race, I'd say.
If he has a fast repair still available, his truck will be fine.
Yeah, I don't think he's got a fast repair. He's got it started. Oh, has he? It seems to be running, but it exploded. It detonated. You can hear it running down there, but he's not going anywhere fast. So folks, 6 laps remaining here and it may finish under yellow. So at the moment your top 10, Darren McKenzie in the 75 is looking good for tonight's win, but I don't want to put the mocker on him yet. David Webb second, Roger Clark sitting in third, Kai Sloggett in the 18 in fourth, Matt Raymond in the 83 is fifth. Then we've got Jason Martin sitting in sixth. Seventh is James Foster. His truck's pretty bent. Well, it's straight now because he used his fast repair, and he's definitely made up for last week's bad luck run he had. James Zeitz in the 19 is sitting in 8th. Jake Blackwell, he's moved up to 9th now, and Daniel Stevens rounds out our top 10.
Yep, and Danny G was the beneficiary of the lucky dog, so he will be back on the lead lap. He is scored currently in the 21st position.
Yeah, you can see him in the number 13 going around as quickly as he can to try and get on the back there, but see how he goes. So.
He'll have plenty of time. We'll be going lights out here this time around, double stacking them, and this will be the last time that the pace car will be going back off into pit road. We'll currently have 5 to go. We'll have a 4-lap sprint.
Yep, and if the yellow comes out, it's going to be finishing under yellow, I'd say.
Yeah, that's for certain. We'll be finishing under yellow. If we look at the championship, the way this championship is going, Jason Martin is in 6th place and Jake Blackhall is in 9th. So good recovery for Jake Blackhall, but he does not want to be in. He doesn't want to end up in any crash that happens in between now and the checkered flag.
Yeah, that's right. And I can guarantee he doesn't want to finish too far behind Jason either, because he'll see this championship going the way of Jason Martin. But I tell you what though, if Darren McKenzie takes this win tonight, he'll be serving a little bit of notice on these guys, because he's had a really strong run tonight. Although, as you were saying, it's a different type of racing this to the short track that we normally see. So it could be his one and only win in the season, or it could be starting a bit of a streak for him.
Darren McKenzie, he's been running pretty well. I remember the last time I was here, he was at Las Vegas, and he was in the top 5 all race, and then at Gateway, the race before, he was around that top 5, top 10 guy. So I think he's there. He understands how to drive these cars. So to see him up front isn't a huge surprise. I think probably the biggest surprise overall, not really a huge surprise, because a lot of these guys are brand new to the series. They don't know exactly where they are in pace, but when you got Roger Clark in the 09, that really cool silver truck, he ran top 5 at Las Vegas, like I said, the last time I was here. So I know he's got a pretty good truck underneath him. Jason Martin is a name I remember. Jake Blackhall is a name I remember. But James E. Foster, I think James Foster is probably the number 1 guy, I would say, is the biggest surprise, because the 2 races that I have been here for, he's wrecked out of both of them. So to have a 7th place currently is a good time for him.
Yeah, with James, he's either having a really good run or he's in a lot of trouble. And tonight he was in trouble earlier, but he got that fast repair and he's come good. And I've noticed his older brother, Edward Foster's not out there tonight. So I guess, he'll have one up again on his older brother. So here we go, they're forming up here, folks. 4 laps remaining when the pace car comes in. It'll be a 4-lap sprint. Darren McKenzie on the inside. On the outside, you've got David Webb in the 12. Roger Clark then second row on the inside, with Kai Sloggett up there in the 18 starting beside him. Keep an eye on Matt Raymond as well, and of course Jason Martin and James Foster. So getting down to the serious end, let's see who comes home with the goods tonight. Who do you reckon it's going to be, or we're too far out to call at this point?
Jason, I'd say Darren McKenzie's looked extremely strong, and plus he's got the advantage of being up front, so he can dictate the race a lot. See him jump early. I think he knows that it worked out good for him last time, but I don't think it's a good plan. I still don't think jumping early is a good plan. I think staying late is a really good plan. Wait until the green flag drops before you go. The reason being is if you go too early, guys behind you can get a run, and if they get a run and you're out by yourself, you're kind of screwed. You're not blocking a guy who's 10 miles an hour faster than you. So if I were Darren McKenzie, I'd wait it out all the way until the green flag and then go. But based off his previous run, I don't see that happening. But he does have the advantage of being up front, and when and if the caution comes out for the final time, he'll be up front and take it at 60 miles an hour or at 100 Ks.
You can see now Darren's just waiting for the pace car to come in. It has, and he's going straight away. And he's not holding. He's just gone as soon as the pace car went into pit road, and here we go.
Yep. So, like I said, we've got 3 laps remaining, and the next flag will end it. If we get a yellow, it ends it. If we get a white flag, then it's an all or nothing. So as you can see, that number 12 car, exactly what I was talking about. The 75 just doesn't have the speed. They've had to check up behind him, and he is dropping like a rock. It's exactly what I was saying. You do not want to have this happen, and you're not going to be able to fix it.
Yeah, he's trying to correct it now with Jason Martin, but Jason's up to third at the moment. David Webb is leading High Slogger. Jason Martin coming to the front when it counts. Now he's going the outside. Darren McKenzie's following him. Watch for Roger Clark, though, as they're trying to go 3 wide back here, with James Foster caught up on the high side all by himself.
And Jason Martin has made a move. He came all the way back from the 8th. He was in the 9th position. No, he was in the 6th. My bad. 6th position. Now he's on the outside of the front row. He's in effectively 2nd place, fighting for the win. If the draft works in his favor and he works the draft real well going down the tri-oval, there is a good chance we could see Jason Martin in victory lane for 4 straight races. Even though this is the one race that really he can do some. Anybody can come out of nowhere.
Yeah, well, speaking of coming out of nowhere, look who's right behind the 75. Mr. Jake Blackhall out all of a sudden. Oh, Jason.
Straight for the front. And that's going to put Kyle Sloggett in the lead for the win.
Oh, my goodness. I thought Jake was going to get away with that, but he didn't. He got caught up, and all hell's broken loose here, folks, at Talladega. And, oh, my goodness me, we've got cars everywhere.
Yeah, it's going to take a little while to sort this one all out. But, yeah, that's the, I don't think that might have been his fault. Let me double check and see what happened here. Oh, it looked like, there's 2 separate incidents. Roger Clark tapped Darren McKenzie, and then Kyle Sloggett tapped Jason Martin. And that has caused a huge wreck, which has collected the first 4 cars except for Kyle Sloggett. Actually, it collected the first 6 cars except Kyle Sloggett. So Kyle Sloggett's going to win this race in that Dale Jr. tribute car. Let's see who else made it through here.
I'll tell you what.
Because I think that list is smaller than who didn't.
Tell you what, Jake nearly got through that. But unfortunately, he had the 09 Roger Clark get up into him and spin him. We can see James Foster then came and clouded him. But, and who's that? The number 12 on its lid, the 75 going around. We've got the 41 in there. Matt Stratford's joined the party, spinning up the track. Phil Otto, he's coming out of nowhere in the 1 to get involved. So is a 93. And the list goes on and on and on.
Yeah, and that wreck was made a lot bigger by the people who did not, they were in the back and just did not lift.
Yeah. So at the moment we are under checkered flag here, folks, and the win goes to Kai Sloggett, who he was the survivor, wasn't he?
Yep, and yeah, he was definitely a survivor, that's for sure. One thing I do want to point out is the guys who did slow down. So if you go back and hang on to Brian James Jones, the car number 39, if you watch from his, you'll see that he started to slow down when he started to see the smoke. The guy in front of him, the number 1 truck, Phil Otto, he actually didn't slow down at all. And he slammed head on into the wall, and I think his race is, well, obviously his race is over, but I think his race is just completely over.
Yeah, we're just having a look at this with Brian James Jones as it unfolds up ahead. You can see Brian's up on the high line here, working the wheel, and this will show us how quickly these things unfold on a track like Talladega. You can see the smoke now. So what's he doing? Yep, lifts. Where does he go? Yeah, he's lifting and just going through, just dodging the carnage, isn't he?
Yep, and that's all you got to do. Whereas the number one of Phil Otto did not do that whatsoever, and he's basically ruined his truck. So you can see the victory burnouts by Kyle Sloggett in the number 18 Budweiser truck, very similar to the paint job that Junior was wearing when he went on 4 straight Talladega wins to break the NASCAR record for most consecutive wins at a single track.
Yeah, we're just riding with Phil Otto here as he's... Oh, yeah, you're right. He nearly got away with it, but then he got all crossed up avoiding Jake Blackhall, and he found the wall. I'll tell you what, it was so much chaos. I think the pace car nearly got involved in that incident.
Well, he definitely had a little bit of a issue. He definitely fixed the finishing order a little bit. There were a bunch of people who finished a lap down that shouldn't have finished a lap down.
Yeah.
It's scoring only 5 cars finished on the lead lap, but that was more or less a scoring issue as the caution came out as soon as the guys were crossing the stripe for the white flag. So it kind of brought a lot of people a lap down just because of a scoring issue. So yeah, it's a bit weird, that one.
Yeah, it certainly was. And let's have a look at our final race results, though, folks, because it's been a pretty big way to end the race tonight. Kai Sloggett takes the win in the number 18. He jumped 22 positions from where he started to take the win tonight. As far as laps led, he led when it counted. He led 2 laps and takes the win. Matthew Raymond, he comes in second in the 83, up 12 positions. Nicholas Crawford up 31 positions to come home in third. James Zeitz pretty much finished in fourth where he started, and James Foster finished in fifth. Jake Blackhall, he came home in sixth position with Daniel Stevens behind him, up 10 positions to come home in seventh. In eighth, Roger Clark, he also jumped 23 positions from where he started to come home in eighth. Craig Lawless comes home in ninth. Rodney Morris finishes in 10th. In 11th tonight is Darren McKenzie, and then Ryan Kolstad finishes in 12th. David Webb comes home 13th, followed by Phil Otto in 14th. Brian James Jones comes home in 15th, followed by Thomas Hinds. In 17th tonight was Josh Micklemore, and then Danny G is classified in 18th. Jason Martin, he finished in 19th. And that was after that big wreck. Riley Curtis comes home in 20th. 21st, Matt Stratford. 22nd, Steve Williams. Dave Douglas comes home in 24th. And 25th is Dean Ross. 26th tonight, we're into the retirements here now, folks. Norman Clark. Then we had Jason Ress, Darren O'Brien, Gavin Windsor, Darren Bond, Daniel Trim in 30th. Sam Ross in 31st, Bruce Ross 32nd, Raymond Yeager 33rd, 34th Shane Whiting, 35th Matt Clowett, Jason Fewens in 36th, 37th Steve Hoppett, and Mirko Dortanak was our first retirement tonight and classified in 38th. So there you go. Let's have a look at who the biggest mover is. It looks like that was Nicholas Crawford in the number 25, up 31 positions. And looking at the biggest shaker, well, that'll be one of the retirees, that's for sure. And could be either Sam Ross. Yeah, Sam Ross is the biggest shaker tonight, Ryan.
Actually, it'd be Raymond Yeager. He started second and finished 33rd. So he lost 31 positions. whereas the Sam Ross started third and finished 31st, so he only lost 28.
Sorry about that. And Raymond Yeager also led 6 of those laps. So if we look at who did lead the laps tonight, and I'll bring that up now. Darren McKenzie in the 75, he led 19. Then we had Jason Martin in the 21, led 10. Daniel Stevens led 10. David Webb led 6. Raymond Yeager 6. Gavin Windsor in the 777 led 5 laps. The 83 led 3. The number 14, James Foster, led 3. And we continue going down to our winner, Kai Sloggett, who led just 2 laps. And then Danny G and Craig Lawless both led 1. So we did have quite a few different leaders in this 70-lap race tonight.
Yeah, and you'll see that here at Talladega. You'll get a bunch of people leading.
Yeah, it's just a draft, isn't it? The fastest lap goes to the 66, folks, and that's Daniel Stevens. He did a 48.852 second lap. So, Ryan, how do you want to sum this up tonight? What did you think of what you saw here?
The racing looked pretty average. It's Talladega, so the thing about Talladega is it's going to be sort of a wreck fest when you have a couple of people who don't normally do it, and that's sort of what we saw. If you got a bunch of guys who this is basically all they do is plate racing, you can get some really, really, really good action, especially towards the end. But I mean, overall, it was a pretty good race. You had pretty good runs where there wasn't any wrecks, but then you had a couple of streaks here and there where it was, a couple of wrecks and people not, looking ahead of themselves. I think that last wreck was just a racing incident. Some of the other ones were a bit more, or probably just kind of inexperienced per se. So overall, it was a pretty decent race. But me personally, I wouldn't want to be out there.
Yeah, it was pretty wild, wasn't it? But you called it, didn't you? You said we would finish under yellow, and that's exactly how we finished. Under yellow, I think it went off with 1 lap to go, didn't it? It went off just before they got the white flag.
Yep.
So, and I guess that's when it's all going to start happening, is that last lap, isn't it? When everyone's starting to jockey for position. But it really went off when the 074 turned the 777, and then all hell broke loose. I thought Jake Blackwell was going to dodge a bullet out of that, but he just got caught up by Roger Clark, who, and the 75, Darren McKenzie, as he turned up on him. But all in all, it was quite an enjoyable race. It was more enjoyable once you got here. So I appreciate that. I definitely do.
Yep, 10-4.
Excellent. Well, folks, that brings our broadcast of the Thursday night Thunder Trucks here at Talladega to a close tonight. And I'd like to personally thank you, Ryan, for making the huge effort getting up very early over your side of town to come and join us. It's always fantastic to have someone with your experience of NASCAR to be able to help call the action.
Yeah, man. It's fun being here.
Yeah, and to all the viewers out there, thanks for joining us again on our YouTube channel, and this will be our last broadcast till next Monday night. I've got a few days off now to get the new computer gear set up, but as always, folks, it's been a pleasure having you here tonight, joining us in this broadcast. We hope that you join us again next Monday night, and in between that, hope you have a fantastic Friday, safe weekend, and we hope to have your company again Monday. But until then, folks, on behalf of Ryan Shelton, I'm Bernie Weemers. Thanks for joining us, and have a great evening. Good night.